So today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, 15th chapter, text 5, the Yoga of the Supreme Person. Nirvanamohajita sangadosa Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama Dandir vimukta sukha dukkha sange Gacchanta mudha padang abhyayanta Ni without mana, false prestige, moha and illusion, jita, having conquered, sangha of association, dosa, the false, adhyatma, in spiritual knowledge, nitya, in eternity, vinivritta, dissociated, kamaha, from lust, dandai, from the dualities, vimukta, liberated, sukha dukkha, happiness and distress, sangai, named, gachanti, attain, amudha, unbewildered, padam, situation, abhyayam, eternal, tat, that. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Purport. The surrendering process is described here very nicely. The first qualification is that one should not be deluded by pride. Because the conditioned soul is puffed up, thinking himself the lord of material nature, it is very difficult for him to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should know by the cultivation of real knowledge that he is not lord of material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Lord. When one is free from delusion caused by pride, he can begin the process of surrender. For one who is always expecting some honor in this material world, it is not possible to surrender to the Supreme Person. Pride is due to illusion. For although one comes here, stays for a brief time, and then goes away, he has the foolish notion that he is the Lord of the world. He thus makes all things complicated, and he is always in trouble. The whole world moves under this impression. People are considering the land, this earth, to belong to human society. and they have divided the land under the false impression that they are the proprietors. One has to get out of this false notion that human society is the proprietor of this world. When one is freed from such a false notion, he becomes free from all the false associations caused by familial, social, and national affections. These faulty associations bind one to this material world. After this stage, one has to develop spiritual knowledge. One has to cultivate knowledge of what is actually his own and what is actually not his own. And when one has an understanding of things as they are, he becomes free from all dual conceptions, such as happiness and distress, pleasure and pain. He becomes full in knowledge. Then it is possible for him to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatha Nitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Visakha Sa. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurati Se Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. निर्माण मोहाजित संग दोषा अध्यात्म नित्या विनिवृत्त काम द्वंद्वेर विमुक्ता सुख दुख संगे गच्छन्ति मूढ़ा पदं अव्ययं तत्. So here in this verse of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is explaining the process of surrender to him. As we have seen in the in the 18th chapter, Lord Krishna gives the essence of his teachings. In this verse, Sarva dharman paritejya mang ekang saranam braja aham tang sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masacha. So, Lord Krishna is summarizing his teachings and telling that to give up all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I will make you free from all sinful reactions. And here in this verse, actually Lord Krishna is teaching the process of surrender. How one can surrender at his lotus feet. The most difficult thing to surrender is the pride. We all know that how this pride in our heart is restricting us to surrender at the lotus feet of Krishna full-heartedly. That's as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is teaching in his Shikshashtaka, Trinadapi Sanichena Tarorapi Sahisrana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadari. That one has to think himself lower than the grass or straw in the street. That means free from false prestige. Become tolerant and be respectful to others and don't expect respect for oneself. But when the pride is there, we always want respect from others. We think we are great personalities and everyone should respect me. So this is the problem in this material world. Because we are thinking that we are the enjoyer of this material world. We are the proprietor of this material world. That's why we develop this pride. And as a result, we don't surrender to Krishna. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktarang yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheswaram shrudang sarvabhutanang gyata mang santim vrichyati. So this pride actually is the root cause of our problem in this material world. And because of this, we are suffering in this material world in so many ways and getting entangled life after life. So Lord Krishna is telling, actually if someone wants peace, wants to get out of this entanglement which is full of suffering, then one has to understand that he is not the proprietor, but Krishna is the proprietor of everything. And he is the bhokta, enjoyer. So when we think we are the proprietor, we think we are the enjoyer. But we have not created anything in this material world. We ourselves are being created by the Supreme Lord. That's why we are actually meant for the enjoyment of the Supreme Lord. Because this is His creation. And whatever we see in this material world is His property. But because of this illusion, we think, oh, this is my property, this is my house, this is my bank balance, this is my family. Aham mameti. Jivasya mohoham aham mameti. So this illusion is coming because we become attached to our family. Punsa striya mituni bhavametam. So we have this enjoying propensity. That's why we accept a wife or a husband. And then that knot in the heart becomes tightened. Instead of loosening the knot, it becomes more and more tightened. Hridaya granthi ahu. And then atha gruha khetra sutapta vittai. Then wife means expansion. It will expand to a house, then children, and then field of activity. So in this way, the person thinks, oh, this is my family, this is my wife, or this is my children, this is my wealth, In this way, he becomes entangled in this material world and become illusioned and thinks he is the proprietor and enjoyer of this material world. And that is the cause of his suffering. So Krishna said that Bhaktarang Yajna Tapasang, I am the enjoyer of Yajna and Tapasya. That whatever sacrifice is performed, that should be offered to me. Whatever austerities are done, that should be done for my satisfaction. Because he is the proprietor of everything and he is our creator. That's why here we see that Krishna says how one can surrender to him. Because when one gives up this pride in the heart, and this pride is coming because of illusion, moha. Because of this illusion, this pride is coming. And this illusion is also coming because of our desire for sense gratification. So it has been stated, vinivritta kama. Kama means desire, enjoying propensity. So because we have this enjoying propensity, we want to enjoy separate from Krishna, that's why we have become illusioned. And then the pride has come. That's how we cannot surrender to Krishna. So when one attains this spiritual knowledge, eternal spiritual knowledge, Adhyatma Nitya, then only he can be freed from all these things. Because we have no knowledge of our own real identity, that's why, and we have this propensity to enjoy, desire for enjoyment, that's how we fall in this material world and become illusion, develop pride and all these things, then develop dualities. So all these things goes on and we don't surrender to Krishna and we suffer in this material world life after life. So Krishna says how one can become free from these dualities of life and how one can surrender to him, getting the spiritual knowledge that he is not the proprietor, Krishna is the real proprietor. That's why Krishna says, Nirmana moha jita sanga dosa adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama. That when one attains this spiritual knowledge, and when one will attain this spiritual knowledge, because as long as one is associating with persons who are illusions, who have the propensity to enjoy this material world, that is Sangha dosa. We develop that mentality in ourselves. If we associate with people who are attached to this material world, we also become attached to this material world. If we associate with people, those who are not attached to this material world, then we also develop that spirit of not becoming attached to this material world. So when one becomes free from this Sangha dosa, and when one can become free from this Sangha dosa, if he can get an alternative association of devotees who are free from attachment to this material world and who have attained this spiritual knowledge, if we associate with them, we develop a desire to know about this material world, to know about ourselves, to know about the Supreme Lord. And in this way, by the devotees association, we become knowledgeable. Otherwise, we have no knowledge. Then when we associate with devotees, we hear from them and we study the scriptures, and in that way we get this knowledge. And when we get this knowledge, we understand our real identity. Who are we? Before getting this spiritual knowledge, we think that I am this body. That's why we always try to satisfy our body. How to satisfy our body. But when we associate with devotees, study the scriptures, we understand that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, then we can understand that actually what is our real duty. As long as we are in the bodily conception of life, then we develop an artificial duty in this material world, which is related to this body, family and family members. But when we understand that we are actually not this body, we are the spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, and this body is subject to destruction, whereas the spirit soul is eternal, and we are suffering in this material world because we have not understood our real identity. So then when we get this knowledge, then we become free from this Sangha dosha. We will not actually want to associate with people who are attached to this body and attached to this bodily enjoyment. And when we become free from Sangha dosha, then naturally, by associating with devotees, we also become free from illusion. And when we become free from illusion, then our false pride, which has developed in our heart because of that illusion, then we become free from that false pride. We understand that I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. And then we develop this attitude of servitorship to the Supreme Lord and His devotees. And that is the way how we can become also, what to say, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Trunadapi Sunecha. We become very humble. When we serve the devotees, we serve the Supreme Lord, we develop the service attitude, then our false pride will go away. That's how we see that Srila Prabhupada, when he started this movement, anyone who joined this movement in the beginning, they all did menial services. We see our great acharyas, great devotees, they have all started their devotional career with these menial services. Washing the pots, cleaning the temple room, sweeping the temple room, and doing all types of menial services. The idea of doing all these types of menial services is to drive away that false ego which is within our heart and which is coming from Janma Aishwarya Shrutasri. From our birth in a high family with great opulence and great learning and also beauty. So these four things develop pride in one's heart. Janma Aishwarya Shrutasri Edhamana Madhapuma. This pride is actually coming from these four things, which is another type of illusion. So when we take birth in a high-class aristocratic family, then we become very proud of our position, that I am such and such, I have taken birth in such a high-class family, so I am not a lowly person. So the pride develops. Or if someone is very beautiful, he is very proud of his beauty. And someone is very knowledgeable, he is also proud of his knowledge. And if someone is very opulent, very wealthy, he is very proud of his wealth. So among these four things, from which this pride is developing, the pride arising out of wealth is very dangerous. Pride arising from other three things is somehow or other manageable. But pride arising from wealth is very dangerous. Because when someone is proud of his wealth, then what he does not care for the great personalities, for the saintly people, and he commits offenses at their lotus feet. Because of his pride of wealth, he commits so many offenses at the lotus feet of the saintly people. As a result, either he is cursed by them, or even Krishna does not tolerate when someone offends his devotees or saintly persons. Even if a saintly person does not take that offense, but Krishna does not forgive him. And in that way, that pride becomes the cause of his fall down. That's why it has been stated that pride arising from wealth is very, very dangerous. So anyway, pride is dangerous, and as long as we have this pride, we cannot surrender to Krishna. That's why to throw away this pride from our heart, to become humble. Sometimes people ask, how to become humble? So this is the way Prabhupada has taught us. Just do some menial service for the devotees and for the Supreme Lord. And naturally, our pride will go away, we become purified, and we become humble. And nowadays we see that many educated people are also joining ISKCON. And we give so much importance to them that when they join, we think, oh, he's such a learned, educated person, so we should just give him a service befitting to his position. As a result, he's already proud of his position because he has a good learning, educated person, so he has developed some pride. And when he joins the movement and we give him a position or service which is befitting to that his position, then his pride remains and increases. His pride increases. And then he will commit offense at the lotus feet of other Vaishnavas. And that will be the cause of his fall down. That's why we have to stick to Srila Prabhupada's system, that it does not matter how qualified he is, how much qualified he is, or even if he is coming from a wealthy family or very learned person, but if he is given the service of doing sweeping the temple room, washing the pots, then naturally his pride will go away. And he will become humble. And then he can become a nice devotee in future. And we have seen so many devotees, they have been given so much respect from the very beginning because they are very educated, are coming from wealthy family, and then they face difficulty in their spiritual life later on, and then they leave the movement. It's because their pride is not gone, it is still there, and they cannot surrender to Krishna fully. So this pride is actually a great obstacle in the path of our devotional service. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's why gave this teaching that one has to feel himself lower than the straw in the street and become very tolerant. When one becomes humble, then naturally he will become tolerant, he will become respectful. So these things will follow. So here Krishna says that Dvandair Vimukta Sukha Dukkha Sange Gachanti Amudha Padang Abhyang Tat. So Krishna says that when one gives up his pride and is free from illusion, free from bad association, and free from enjoying propensity or material desires, and situated in transcendental knowledge. At that stage, he can become free from dualities of life. Because we see in this material world, there is duality. There is happiness, there is distress, there is cold, there is hot, summer, winter. So there are so many dualities. And when it is cold, we suffer. When it is hot, we also suffer. And so, in this way, we see in the material world, even if we get little happiness, which is temporary, but the suffering is continuing. And the suffering is continuing not only in one life, life after life. So if we want to become really happy, want to get out of this suffering, then here Krishna says how to surrender to Him. And then only one can become free from these dualities, even while living in this material world. One can become free from happiness and distress if someone is situated in spiritual knowledge. He can become free from these dualities of happiness and distress. That's why Krishna says, Dukkhesu anudvignamana, Sukhesu vigataspura, Vitaraga bhayakrodha, Stitadhi muniruchyate. So once intelligence can be steady, when one will become free from happiness and distress, one will not be very delighted in happiness, or one will not feel very distressed at the time of sorrowfulness, or sorrowfulness at the time of distress. So in this way, one who has steady intelligence, he will behave in both the circumstances in a neutral way. He will not be affected by happiness or distress. Samas sarvesu bhutesu. And in that state of mind, he can also behave with all living entities with the same mood, understanding that the same Supreme Personality of Godhead is sitting within the heart of all living entities. And that's why he will become also respectful to all living entities. When one will understand that the Supreme Lord is not only sitting within his heart, he is also sitting within the heart of all living entities. So the devotee becomes respectful to other living entities and gives them respect. Gachanti amudha padang abhyang tat. And in that state of mind, when one is free from illusion and situated in knowledge, free from this enjoying propensity, free from illusion, then he can attain the highest destination, padang abhyam, which is eternal destination. In this material world, though we try to live here eternally, but this place is not meant for us to live eternally. This material world is subject to creation and destruction. This is happening again and again. And as long as we are taking birth in this material world again and again, we have to suffer in this material world again and again. And if we want to get eternal happiness, then only we have to get out of this material world and go to the spiritual world, which is eternal and which is full of pleasure. That's why Krishna says, Padang Abhyayam. That pada or destination is Abhyaya. It is not destroyed. It is eternal. So one can attain that destination by surrendering to Krishna in this way, being free from all illusion and pride. When one surrenders to Krishna, then only he can attain this destination of eternity. And then his life will become successful. So this is the surrendering process Krishna is giving in this verse. And when one comes to this stage of surrender, then naturally he will become fully dependent on Krishna. And he will act in such a way that whatever will be favorable for Krishna consciousness, he will accept. What will become unfavorable for Krishna consciousness, he will reject. And he will think that Krishna is my only shelter and he is my only maintainer. In that way, thinking Krishna is the only maintainer and shelter and remaining humble at heart, he will surrender fully at the lotus feet of Krishna. Then only his life will become successful, and at the end he can attain this supreme destination. Hare Krishna. So, any comments or questions? Please.
Surrendering process means one is through the physical devotional service we are doing, it's also part of surrendering. And if we are able to do that, can we mentally fully surrender to the Lord? Sometimes we
Actually, surrendering process, initially we have to mentally surrender.
mentally surrender.
And then action will come physically. Physically we will surrender. But first, mentally, we have to surrender. The surrender comes from the heart. When we understand our position, then we surrender in heart. Physically, when we perform different kinds of services, it may be possible that we can perform some services, or because of our inability physically to do some services, we may not be able to do that service. But if we are mentally surrendered, then Krishna accepts that. And whatever way, if physically we are fit to do, we do. No problem for that.
Sometimes the circumstances are such that we take sometimes not offered food. Mentally we of course offer, but not in the proper way. So we feel guilty. I feel guilty that I am not properly offering the food to the Lord. But
So,
taking.
So if you are feeling guilty that we are not offering in a proper way, we should do that.
Sometimes circumstances are such that we are away somewhere on the way or
But that is a different thing. If we are like in a place where we are unable to do it, in that case we can mentally do that. But if we are able to do this, like we are traveling in a train, and we may not cook in the train or we cannot offer properly, but whatever we get, we can mentally offer to Krishna. That can be done. But when there is a possibility of preparing food, then we must offer to Krishna physically. Physically we should do.
occasionally.
We should not take it like a license that every time we can just do it. When we are able to do it physically, then we should do. But in emergency, it has been stated, ature niyama nasti. When this is an emergency situation, then these rules will not be applied. So in that state, we can mentally do.
Chanting also means surrendering.
Yes, when we chant the holy name, that is a full process of surrender. We are praying to Krishna, calling him out. This is like a child cries for the mother. So a devotee, when he chants the holy name, he cries out to Krishna. So that is with full surrender. When one chants with full surrender, Krishna reciprocates. But in the beginning it may not be possible, but that is the goal. That when we chant the holy name, that should be with full surrender. That is a prayer actually. Yeah. Yes.
You were talking about the pride of having money, and I think also sometimes we put too much of faith in money. We put too much of faith in money. If I have some money in the bank, then I'll be okay. And I worry if I don't have money in the bank, then I won't be okay. It's the same thing.
I could not get your point.
Instead of rather than pride in money, we have our faith in our money. As long as I've got some money, then I'll be okay.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's also stopping us from surrendering.
Yeah. So, you see, generally when we have to live in this material world, naturally there is necessity of money. But this is a necessity, not the goal of life. Because generally people, what they do, they think to earn money is the goal of their life. That's why they forget everything else. But if we are living in a family, or even if we are a single person, whatever it may be, we need food, we need residence, we need medicines. For that we need money. That's okay. But we should not be only dependent on our money. That is a necessity of our life, but not the goal. And many times what happens, that we depend on our money. We think that this money will save me from everything. That is the problem. But if we are just keeping some money just for our necessity, that is okay. And even if we don't have money, if we are full surrender to Krishna, then Krishna will take care of us anyway. But we don't want to give Krishna trouble. So that's why if we have some money, just we keep. So don't ask Krishna to come and help us for that. But in mind, we should be always dependent on Krishna for everything. Even if we have money, we should understand that this money cannot save me. Even if we have money, this money cannot cure my disease. Even if we have money, this money cannot provide everything for me, unless Krishna wants. Sometimes we have money, we spend money for our medicines, but the disease cannot be cured. Unless Krishna's mercy is there, actually Krishna's mercy is curing us, not our money or medicine.